Hi, it's Anene Callistus here. In this video, I'll be walking you through how to compute personal income tax for employee using a PAYE template that is in line with the Nigerian Tax Act, a new Nigerian tax law. So this template will automatically calculate the personal income tax for individual. So it's an Excel sheet that calculates the personal income tax for employees. So the way it works is, as you enter the breakdown of the gross income of the employee, it automatically calculates the tax liability, what the employee is supposed to pay as personal income tax for each month. So this is the template, as you can see on my screen. Now I'm going to walk you on how to use this template. Now the good thing about this template is that you can use it to calculate the personal income tax liability for employees in an organization, and equally use it to print out a pay slip for each employee, all on the same Excel workbook. Right, so this is the template. So I'm going to be demonstrating how this template works. I'll use an example for an employee. I'll key in the figures for the basic, the housing, the transport, and all the allowances. Right, so there is a guide. There are comments on the right side of this template that guides you on where you are to enter figures on the template. Now, a quick one. If you look at this template, now the template instructs that you enter figures only in the cells that are colored white. So all these cells you entered, you see colored white, this is where you enter your figures, and the other cells that are not colored white will automatically perform the calculation for you. Now let's proceed. So I'm going to use an example of an employee. I'll be entering in the breakdown of the basic, the housing, the transport, the utility, and the allowances that makes up the gross income of this employee. So I'll start with the basic. So what you have to do is you are going to enter the figures, the monthly components of the gross income, and the other cells will do the calculation for the annual. So for this person I'll be using to demonstrate, this person has a basic monthly allowance of 200,000. Right, now you see, once I enter 200,000, it calculates the amount for annual. So I'll do same for the housing allowance, 110,000. So this employee has a transport allowance of 80,000 naira. Now equally has a utility allowance of 60,000 naira and a meal allowance of 50,000. Right, so if there are other allowances like entertainment allowance, you can key it, but these are the most basic allowances, the most common allowances that employees have that make up their gross income. So if there is a particular allowance here that you want to use that is not available, you can simply just change the name of any of the allowances here. Then so this column calculates what percentage of the monthly of what percentage it constitutes of the gross income. So this person's gross income amounts to 500,000. It amounts to 500,000, right, per month, and this is his basic salary. So that basic salary is 40% of the gross income, and so on for housing allowance. Now you see the figures for annual, the figures that the annual figures here. So you can say this person earns a gross income of 6 million annually. That is 6 million per year. Now, the new Nigerian tax law removes CRA, Consolidated Relief Allowance, and introduces the annual rent. So what this annual rent column, this box where you enter annual rent, on entering the figure here, is going to calculate what is called the rent relief. It's going to calculate the rent relief for this personnel. Now the rent relief says that you take the lower of the 20% of the annual rent paid, or 500,000 per annum. So 500,000 is the cap, right? Is the maximum amount that an employee can enjoy as rent relief. So if this employee, I have entered this figure 3 million. Now this employee has an annual rent of 3 million. Now the law says for this employee to enjoy this relief, there needs to be a proof that there's an annual rent that he or she pays of 3 million. So when that evidence is provided and you enter 3 million here, so what the calculation would do is, you're going to take 20% of 3 million, and 20% of 3 million is 600,000, if I'm not mistaken, right? It's 600,000 if you take 20%. So but 600,000 is higher than 500. So the Excel template automatically picks 500 here. So if we were to take 2 million here, if I was to take 2 million here, right? 20% of 2 million is 400,000. The template 400,000 is lower than 500,000. So it's going to pick 400,000 naira. That's why you have these figures here. Now, remember I said for this template, you only enter figures where you have the cells colored white. Now, if this employee works in an organization where they enjoy deductions like National Housing Fund, National Health Insurance Scheme, right? So, assuming this person, they are entitled to this deduction, NHF, NHIS, right? So, it will automatically take 5% of this gross income, and this is the figure here. Now the NHF takes 2.5% of the gross income and puts it here. Now the instruction on this template says that this is not a compulsory contribution. So if this is an organization where the employee is only entitled to just pension, which is 8% of the basic housing and transport allowance, you can see this figure is calculated automatically. Now in a case where they don't enjoy the deductions of, the employer does not do National Housing Fund, National Housing Insurance Scheme, they are not entitled to such benefits and hence such deductions, the Excel template automatically calculates it. But if they are not entitled to that, you can just delete the figure. Otherwise, you leave it the way it is. So I'm going to undo and assuming that this employee enjoys these deductions. So pension, employee pension, so the template automatically calculates it, calculate the NHIS, NHF, and this gives a total, the rent relief of this. Now it will give you a total deduction of 1,224,400 naira. So when we move this deduction from the gross income, it gives us a taxable income of 4,775,000. Now this is the tax band. So this tax band here has already been configured to automatically calculate what is the tax liability. So for the first 800,000, there is no 0%. Next 2,200,000, 50%. The template has already done that calculation, has already been configured to do the calculation for you. So based on the configuration of the template, the person has a tax per annum of 649,608. Now the tax per month, the per month figure will simply be this figure divided by 12. This is what the person pays as tax per month, right? So these are just statutory contribution, these are just the percentage. Now the template equally calculates the employer pension contribution, which is 10% of the basic housing and transport allowance. So with that calculation done, on the next template, on the next sheet, is where the net pay of that employee is being calculated. And this is the template that you can equally print out as a pay slip for the employee. So this is the template. So the first role of that template is where you can put your company logo. Now this sheet serves to calculate only both the net pay, and equally you can print it out as a pay slip. So now let's walk through. Now this is the monthly salary gotten from the first sheet, the payee sheet. So there's the payee sheet here and the net pay sheet here. So this is the total monthly salary. This is the figure here. So if you scroll down, this is the pension, employee pension. This is the monthly. These are the figures now in months, right? These are the pension, the NHI, the NHF. These are the figures in months. So we'll take this total monthly gross, minus it from the deductions, equally minus the payee that we saw in the previous sheet. It will give you the net pay of this employee. This is the net pay of this employee. So if you want to print this particular sheet as a pay slip for the employee, you just insert your company logo here, enter the months for which you are generating this pay slip. I can see employee pay slip for the month of, you enter the month and the year, you enter the employee's name here in this part that says name of the employee. And once you are fine, you simply just go to the file section of your ribbon, click on print. You see a preview of how it looks, right? This is a preview. Now you could customize this template by printing it out and inserting a row where the employer needs to sign. Since it's a pay slip, you could just insert a line here for employee to sign and employer to sign based on how the organization who signs on pay slip. We just put a line here, name of employer or name of HR, and the person signs, and name of the employee. Once you put those lines, if you do your print preview, you try to print it, you will see that it looks like a pay slip. You can print it out, the employee signs and the employer signs. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'll be dropping the link to get this template in the comment section of this video. Thank you very much for watching.